this crazy real estate market. I mean, it's 2020, doesn't get much crazier, right? And Greg and I have had a lot of conversations around what does the future of real estate look like? What does, and that's what spurred the Reinventing Real Estate Collaborative in the first place, is what does the future of real estate look like? What do we have to do as real estate agents so that we can adapt and bring more value to our clients and to the consumer, and stay relevant and stay the fiduciary? And I think that's where this conversation is going to go. But without further ado, Greg, who's Greg? Why don't you give us a little background? Who's Greg?
Hey, first, I'm Greg. How you doing, Ben? I want to say thank you for that email this morning about wearing blue shirts. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Very nice collared blue shirts. And I also want to give you kudos for running for taking this in the middle of a pandemic, similar to what Nightline did for ABC. If anybody's familiar with Nightline, that came out of the Iran hostage deals way back in the 1980s. I think it was Ted Koppel started. So things can happen during a recession, a depression, or a pandemic, and you're showing it with your Reinventing Real Estate. You've been going at it now since March, and I got to give you kudos for that. Congratulations. It's always been a good source of information. Who's Greg Flanagan? Well, Greg Flanagan is 14 years plus in the business of real estate. Prior to that, 30 years as an entrepreneur. Prior to that, spent 17 years, 36 days in prison, as you all know, most of you anyway. Did nothing more than take a test, and they decided to hire me. And it was beautiful 1736 in New York State. Came down here 23 years ago, came down as a business partner with one of my friends from upstate New York, and proceeded to make a beautiful life in, Charleston area. And we keep going at it. 13, 14, 16, 15 years ago, we sold the business in upstate. We used to do school book fairs. We were Scholastic's competitor, as you may, whatever that was worth. They gave us a little bit of money and told us to get lost because we were bothering them. Didn't make a dent in their pocketbook. And my wife said, well, why don't you become a real estate agent? I think, as you've been pushing me for many years to become a real estate agent. And I decided, let me take the courses, let me take the test. And just about this time in 2005, I started going to courses in Anderson, South Carolina. Took my test somewhere early 2016 or 2006. And now here we are 14 years later. And I've been good, I've been bad, I've been broke, I've been rich, I've been all the different things, and I've tried just about everything out there. But what I've found is the sweet spot, and what I'm pushing for right now is all about solo agents. I think is the market. I wish I could, but I'm holding it.
You're moving us all over. You're making us see.
Well, nobody wants to see me this way. Hold on. Let me reset it. I don't want to be sitting there like that. Anyway, bear with me, folks. Here we go. How's that?
Oh, that's perfect. That's the Flanagan we know and love.
So, the chair. Solo agents. Where have I come in the last 14 years? Over the years, I took to the business pretty well, had 7-8 deals in my first 6 months, and then the market dropped out. From the bottom of the market dropped out. I went 6 months without having a deal, and I was trying to figure out what happened. Thankfully, I had a buddy of mine who used to do short sales. He wasn't a real estate agent. He just knew how to do short sales. And I got involved in a distressed property market, made a good name, made enough money, a lot of money over the next 2 or 3 years. In 2010, we saw that the market was changing back around, got back into the resale market, and built another good career out of the resale market. Over the years, probably about 300 deals, in and out of different deals, both on MLS and off MLS. Dabbled in a little bit of commercial. So got a pretty good background in what's happening in our local real estate market and the country as a whole. In the past 5 or 6 years, I've had a lot of agents start coming to me looking for advice, looking for mentorship, looking for coaching, helping with deals, personal growth, and perspective on, how to become a better real estate agent. So I started this company. It's called Power Onward Mastermind, And it is an alternate to high-end, expensive coaching. Um, and I don't want to push that because, I mean, I do want you to be aware of it, but this is not about a half-hour paid ad. What do I believe is going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years to solo agents, to teams? You know, there's over 2 million agents in the United States alone. And of those 2 million agents, maybe 3% are actually making some good money, and maybe 10% are making decent money. Most of them are solo agents. 1.3 million belong to Realtor.com, Realtor NAR, National Association of Realtors, and the average age is 56 years old, and they make about $48,000. So if that's good for you, you're right in the bucket, right? You're in the middle of it all. I see over the next 3 to 5 years, with the compression of commissions, as more and more people start getting onto the web, as Zillow starts hiring their own agents, the role of a real estate agent on a bigger team is going to become a $40,000 a year job. And if that suits you, that's fine. You're going to be very compartmentalized. You're going to be, there's going to be a listing expert. There's going to be a buyer expert. There's going to be a transaction coordinator expert. And it's going to come right down to Zillow's got it up already, and a couple others, where you walk in the house, you don't even need an expert because the door is coded remotely. The buyer gets to the door, they open the door, they walk through the house. The entire house is cameraed. And after you're done viewing the house, this voice is going to appear and go, "Hey, what'd you think?" Now, they've been listening to you for the last 20 minutes. And I'm sure that you know that they were listening to you, but you forget that they're there. And they're going to close you while you're in the house. They're going to ask you, and actually they're doing it now. They're going to ask you, "Hey, would you like to buy this house?" "Yes." "Have you got your phone with you? I'm going to send you some documents and let's go through what you want to do." So almost like a used car dealer, where they have you and it's hot, and strike while the iron's hot. You're going to start seeing buyers walking out of houses with signed contracts. They're going to start closing right at the house, um, which to me is a little bit, for the largest purchase out there. I think they're going to get a lot of unsuspecting people, and it's going to blow up. It's going to blow up. And that's where the solo agent comes in. I believe that in the future, if any real estate agent that has a license that is going to make money needs to be a solo real estate agent. We are the fiduciary. People look to us for the trust, the advice, and putting them above our own self concerns. Um, we all became a real estate agent, I think. I know what I did. I can't work for anybody. I am unemployable, totally unemployable. Cannot work for anybody. It doesn't work. I need to be my own boss. And I think that's what most of these 2 million agents have done in the past. Uh, it's just getting back into the solo agent.
Well, let me ask you this. So you talk about this idea of, we've talked a lot about it, consolidation, right? And that's kind of what I hear you saying is the industry could potentially and probably will consolidate. You look at every other industry, most industries have consolidated. I always give the example of back in the 90s, to go name a bunch of airlines. Well, today, name a bunch of airlines. Your 90s, tons of airlines. Today, like 4 or 5 that are the big ones, right? So that makes sense. What does the real estate agent, the solo agent, or the real estate agent of now have to do to position themselves to always be at the center of the transaction and the fiduciary of the transaction, so that they can bring the most value and then do what you're doing, which is build a business that allows you uncapped income potential and flexibility?
Great question. I think building the business comes down to relationships. It comes down to meeting people. It comes down to having the education, the knowledge, and the heart to care about people and find out what their best interest is. Over the years, this is what I've found. I have bought Zillow ads. I have bought Realtor ads. I've done all that. those Zillow and Realtor leads who I've closed very well, who I have nurtured very well, have no allegiance to me, have zero allegiance to me. I can go back and look at my clientele, and those are people that, as I'm going down through, we could have had a discussion last month. All of a sudden I see their house on the market. There's no allegiance. There's no connection. Whereas the people that I am connected to are the people that I developed myself early in my career, because that's what I did. And for the first 7 years, it was one-on-one, Greg and client. Then I went into buying leads. And yeah, I made more money. I also spent more money. Bottom line, didn't really improve a whole bunch. Had a lot of costs, a lot of expenses. I went back to one-on-one, and my profitability went back up. How did I do it? Systems, models, admin support. All these things are important. I had to learn. I had to have the knowledge of. I had to learn more about myself, actually. I did a lot of personal growth in the last 6 years, and I realized I didn't have to compete with the Dave Friedmans, the Bobs of the world. I didn't have to compete with them. I had to compete with Greg. Okay. And once I understood that it was me I had to take care of and nobody else, I don't care how many deals somebody else has had. It all comes down to, what do I need to live? How do I want to balance my life? And I think that's what most single agents got in the business to do, is to have a business, a career where they manage their own lives. They're not working their tails off. They're not going 70, 80 hours down the road.
That's a great answer. I mean, you're going to that idea of abundance too. Like last year in our market, I pulled 2019 numbers and finished around just shy of 14 million or so, right? And around 38,000 homes, right? Sides rather, right? And the top individual sold maybe a few hundred, just shy of 1,000, right? So
top individual with a team, or top individual?
It's essentially a brokerage, that individual.
Right, a brokerage.
Sold 1,000 or just shy. Lot still there. You shave off from 38,000, you shave off 1,000, that's 37,000.
That's a lot of deals, man.
What do you for you to hit a goal of maybe whatever your profit goal, there's still a lot of houses there for you to sell. So talk to me. You made a reference to the word allegiance. And I know that relationship is a part of that, but what else do you do in your business to create this idea of a raving fan or a client for life or allegiance with your database?
I think there's you don't have to do a lot. I'll be honest with you. You don't need to do a lot. The biggest thing is to stay in touch, know who you're talking to, know the people. You don't need a lot of people to make $200,000 a year. You maybe need 100 to 110 people that are know, trust and like you, right?
Yep.
Or like, know, and trust you, whichever way you want to say it. That's all you really need. How do you take care of it? You use a database. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was new was the broker, my first brokerage. I said, Nancy, what do I need to do? And she said a database, and she's recommended a database. I can tell you to this day, I still have that database. And the majority of people in there, I can give you some sort of answer what they are. So it's touching that database. It's using, all the systems out there. The Bible of our business is MREA. And I've used that, and it works. It's a system that works for us. Touch them 36 times. You know what? A client event. I do a client event every year. I don't know about this year, but because of the COVID, it costs $3,000. And that's 100 people. That's 100 people going to a ball game with hot dogs and hamburgers and, no hard liquor, but that's doable. Whereas I know people that will drop $3,000 in a month to get leads that are not viable leads.
And that may not be be that loyal client, right?
They're not the loyal client. And the second thing is, you don't know what the lead generation piece is all about. A few years back, agent came to me and was telling me about the lead generation, and it sounded like they were getting a lot of leads per month, but there was not one of them could buy a house, let alone a car, let alone maybe even a bicycle. I said, do you understand what that lead generation piece says? And she said, no. I said, it said, hey, buy a house with no credit, because everybody you're getting has bad credit. What are you spending? $1,200 a month. Got all the leads in the world, but it did absolutely no good. It did absolutely no good. So find your, I have a sheet about no cost, low cost lead generation. And if you follow that, man, you're not going to spend a whole bunch of money, but it's about developing a relationship and building the allegiance that way. The raving fan, build them that way. Know their kids, know their habits, know when they get laid off or when they get a new job.
Let me ask you this. Knowing your business, and over the last few years, your business has changed. I remember talking to you back in 2016, excuse me, and you were adamant about the costs that it took to run your business. And it was not as lean as it is today.
No.
How did your mindset change over the last few years about that database piece, about the fact that you don't need to spend as much money as you previously believed to build a business, a sizable business, a sustainable business? And how has that changed?
How has that changed? It changed a lot because I was spending a lot of money and not making a bunch of money. It actually drove me almost broke. It did drive me broke. It wasn't until I actually took it serious. I got an accountant, a bookkeeper, and an executive admin who I went through 200 and some odd applicants, interviewed probably 7 or 8, and I was looking for the person that could take what was in my head and build my systems, and that worked. And she's on here today, Cece. Hello. That was probably the biggest change in my business. Getting away from competing with others and only competing with myself, understanding that I don't have to be the best. I don't have to be the guy with the most sales. I don't have to be the guy with the most units. We laugh about some of the inner circle that I hang out with. You go to these conferences and the first thing the guy says is, so how many did you sell last year? And I it's like, who cares? Who cares? That's not part of our business. Yes, it's part of our business, but the conversation should be around, how can I help you? What is working in your business? I don't care if you sold 15 homes. If you spent an hour a week doing those 15 homes and that's balanced your life out, then that's a pretty good business, because it's what the business that you want. It's not the business that I expect you to have. So I don't laugh at somebody with 15 deals. I don't laugh at somebody with 500, because everybody's got a different idea of what their business should be.
And how did you, I love what you're saying about this idea of the beauty of real estate. I'm going to paraphrase in my own words, but the beauty of real estate is that people can build whatever business they want based on the lifestyle that they envision for themselves. And I think that's a beautiful thing. How did you identify that for yourself? Have you? And what has it looked like, and how has it transformed?
Good question. So what does it look like? How is it transformed? Have I built that business? I don't work weekends. I eat dinner at 5:30 every afternoon. I'm in a portion of my life where, you know what? I only need one car, right? I can say, I don't have to go there. And I can also say, you know what? I'm going to help that agent. Here's a deal. Go close it. Because I don't need 100%. I'm happy with 25, 30%. You know, because if I could help more people, Zig Ziglar, right?
Yep.
The more people you help, you'll get what you need. That's where I am in my life. And I think if I had known that 15 years before today, I'd be a richer man today. And I don't care about riches so much. I care about relationships and people that are friends. So
I know that, and in knowing you, you're a competitive guy.
I am.
And what had to happen for you to go from this idea of competing externally to competing internally?
Personal growth. A lot of mentor from 6 years ago. I'll name him. His name's Adam Roach. A little guy by the name of Vinnie Mariani. And Crompton. I mean, there's so many people that having a higher conversation. This is not about, it's not all about real estate. It's about personal growth. It's about learning who you are, what you need, and what makes you happy. And I think the personal growth is more important than the real estate. Because right now I can walk away from real estate knowing that I can start any other business I want. One of my goals was to, and I love real estate. Don't get me wrong. It's a great job. It's, you know, I'm just, I can't get excited about a bathroom anymore. Okay, it doesn't work for me. Here's a bedroom. Oh, it's square. Oh, you know, um, you know, there are people that love that. So why not let those people show the houses? I'll take less money for that. Sure. I don't need to show houses. What was the question?
Just that idea of going from internal, you talked about, well, going from competing externally to competing internally, and where that went for you was this idea of people. So let's go down that road. How, I know that people are really important to you, the people that you put in your life. You believe that you're the sum of the 5 individuals that you spend the most time around. Totally. How has the selecting of those people, and how have those people played a tremendous part in your life so that you could kind of go on this journey of now helping other people?
So 2015, actually 2014, Adam started pursuing me, looking for me. I was probably a $4 million agent at the time. And I was working for another company, very, you know, there were 23 of us in this brokerage, and we were the 3rd or 4th brokerage in the MLS every month. It was like just hard driving, win, 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 win. And if you look at the guys who came out of that brokerage, and if you're local listening to this, guys like Friedman and O'Neill and Lisa Richard, I mean, these are people that, man, they're top producers, right? They're top producers. Did I ever feel comfortable in that point? I did, and I kept my own, you know, as a single agent, as a solo agent. But Roach came to me, and I remember I would never go to KW for, you know, to meet him or anything else. We'd always meet somewhere in a hotel, and we met probably the 3rd or 4th time we met in front of a courtyard. And I was just, man, I still had my prison attitude. And he asked me a question. I don't remember what I answered, but it was probably snarky. And he goes, you know what? The difference between you and I is that I read. And I was like, well, you're smart. You know, I was about ready to come up and slap him upside the head. And both of us walked out. I mean, it was a very short conversation. It didn't last very long. We both walked out. But it got me thinking, what is this guy talking about? What is this guy talking about? Now, I bought one of the first Tony Robbins books back when he was called Anthony Robbins. Okay, it's yellow. It sits on my shelf. I've been to it 2 or 3 times. So I understood a little bit about personal growth, but I really didn't have a full the full understanding of what it could do for me as a person, what it could do for me as a business person. And that's where my whole change started. It started with picking up, I think, The Alchemist, and then maybe The Four Agreements, and it just went down that road.
And Kyle kind of alluded to this. He shot me a message and he said, "What got you to listen to these people to change your way of thinking?"
I think that's a great question, Kyle. That's a great question. What got me to listen? Probably Roach. Probably I was unhappy. Now, Roach instigated. He's a poker. He's a poker. And I was unhappy. And it took me years to get past that. And I think that's what instituted. I knew there was something bigger, something better that I could be doing. And I think that's what pushed me over that edge. That's what pushed me over that edge. I wasn't happy with life. I wasn't happy with relationship. I wasn't happy with the job. I wasn't happy with, working all weekend, not doing anything. I mean, I come from a job. I came down from upstate New York. I used to go fishing in the afternoon, fishing on the weekends, because I had a 9-to-5 job. I wasn't doing any of that. So I think that's what it was, just being unhappy.
What would you say? I'm going to pivot a little bit. Great answer. I'm going to pivot a little bit. What would you say in building your teams? You built a team. You were a solo agent. You built a team. Then you actually joined a team. Then you went back solo, and this was over the period of a long time. But then you went back solo. Your business has changed as you've changed, and now you're in the process of not only building your team back up, however, you're also building a coaching company. What's been the biggest challenge for you in all of those things? Can you hear me?
I can. It's finding a spot where I felt very, very comfortable. I felt very comfortable, and I was being fed. Okay, I was being fed mentally. I've got to have a higher conversation to keep me focused. When I have conversations with, the 5 people that I surround myself with, I become a better person. I help other people become better people, and it just keeps on going. It just keeps on giving. It's giving back. Through the evolution of what I've done, from solo to team to big team, small team, belonging to a team, those were things I did in order to find out if that's where I was supposed to be. I'm not afraid to make a decision and go somewhere, because I know that I'll come out all right. I'll be all right somewhere down the road. It might affect me financially. It might affect me a little bit emotionally for a while. But I think all those were just the prodding, the poking. Where do I want to be? Now, Power Onward Masterminds is one of those pokes. I've helped people for years. It's part of my DNA. I remember when I was 5 years old, my grandmother, for anybody that's not old enough to remember Jerry Lewis telethons on Labor Day, I remember my grandmother taking us around our suburban home and collecting money for Jerry Lewis. That's who I am. And I think every one of those changes in my life have been to see if that's who I am. I've been on I was on a great team. Actually, it was a great team because this was just recently, actually. It allowed me to actually sit down and do what I do. And I sat down earlier this year, I made 17 appointments, put 11 people under agencies and listings. And, so it proved to me that I can still do this. Do I want to do it?
Question. So And real quick, Dan made a great comment. He said, just on this theme, he said time equals wealth. And the day that he learned that was mind blowing. Great point.
Yep.
As we start to wrap up, what would you, when you look at some of the things that you've been building, and well, I want to go here actually. So I always like hearing about challenge and overcoming challenge. Why don't you talk to us more about the fulfillment that you've had in overcoming some of the challenges that you have overcome? And how did you overcome some of the biggest challenges in building all of that?
It's a great question, because I don't dwell on my challenges. I really don't. I don't dwell on my failures. I learn from them. I move on. Maybe that's the biggest challenge, is I don't remember my challenges. With me, I guess my biggest challenge is I've never been a money manager. I've made a lot of money in my career. I've made a lot of money even before my career. I always had a second business. I always had something on the side. And it's been money management. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I had a coach. And the first thing he said when we started coaching, right there, profit first. Okay. That book 3 years ago turned my financial picture around. Totally turned my financial picture around. I understand it better. I got a real estate bookkeeper that understands commissions, splits, incoming, outcoming, what belongs where. It was all about finances. It was all about finances. Since that time, net worth has actually gone up. So yeah, I'm happy.
So when you look, say, 5 years down the road, what's the perfect day look like for you, and what have you built?
What have I built?
If anything, or are you sustaining? But what
I'm building. I'm building. As far as real estate is concerned, I've built a network of people that they can come to me. I have leads coming in. I still have a good database of people. I don't do buyers anymore, for the most part, as a rule. I can list homes. I'm going to probably, outsource that. Just use it as a passive income type thing. Okay, my real estate team. Bring people on, mentor them, not take all their money, not even do a heavy split on them. Just something that says, hey, you take care of my people, I'll take care of you. The coaching business, we've got a platform going on, poweronwardmastermind.com, no S, and that's going to be a resource. We're building it now. It's active, but it's going to be a resource for agents that are starting out, mid-level agents that need the help, with the systems or forms, just stuff where you can get a one-stop shopping type thing. And I think one of my strong suits, I've got 3 avatars. The first avatar is new agents that need a direction, new agents that have to be, that want to understand you can do this business without spending a lot of money, without going in debt, and you can be up and running in 90 days. Okay, it's not a system. It's about getting your mind right. That's the new agent. You got the middle agent, where I can actually help them, walk through building a team. I've done it. I've done it very well. And then you got my final avatar is the guy who, the CEO of the company, the guy who has that obstacle in his way. He could be $1 million CEO of a widget factory. He just needs an objective voice to say, hey, let's look at this, step back, let me step back, look at it, and let's work towards a solution. All of these come down to, you need a coach, you need a mentor, get somebody that knows what they're doing. And the platform is going to be big enough so that I can bring in other people, other senior agents that want to help coach. And I'm going to share that too. You know, it's going to be a shared platform so that you don't have to go out and spend the money and build this platform. So that's where the dream is down the road.
Beautiful. Let me ask you this. I was going to ask you a piece of advice to leave the group with, but I want to do it different. You talked about those three avatars, and I think we have those three avatars on this call. You talked about the new agent that can appreciate, that you can teach, and then you can kind of give them the perspective that they don't have to spend a ton of money to get into this business. They can do it boots on the ground with a little bit of grit. You talked about that individual that's building a team. So how do I scale? Then you talked about that individual that's the CEO. How do I keep the scale, right? How do I sustain the scale? What piece of advice would you give to each one of those avatars?
Wow, great question. The first one, the new agent, sit down, relax, learn before you earn, and get yourself a mentor, get yourself a coach, an inexpensive coach. Draw on other people's resources and knowledge, and understand that this is a relationship business, and you do have to do something to make a sale. I believe cold calling is dead. Cold calling and circle calling are two different things. But to pick up a phone for 8 hours drives you nuts. I believe, I can go on for hours about that avatar. The middle avatar, the person that's just starting a team. I've tried to start a team a couple of times. I was finally successful. And we did very well. Let me help you get the mindset of what you need, understand what people need, your agents need from you, and understand that those people are your customers, your agents, your admins. They're all your customers. They don't work for you. You work for them. And let me help you through that period to learn how to understand and treat them like your customers. And for the third one, I find these type of people, and I have coached a few of them, I find these type of people have tunnel vision. Got to get there. They are the very competitive people. They've got to get there. They got to get there. And they're not seeing what's going on around them. And when they hit that brick wall, all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, what did I do? And we take them and go around that wall. The advice I give to anybody in that position up that high is look around you, pay attention, understand where your people are. Back to people, back to the who's in your life. Look who you're surrounding yourself with. Are they the right people? Are they the people that you want to go forward with? Are you dressed, or is the emperor naked? Because if the emperor is naked, nobody's standing there telling you, hey, you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't see what's going on. That's where I come in. I'm going to be the guy who says, hey, put some clothes on.
Love it. I love it, man. You've imparted some serious wisdom on the group. I want to respect everybody's time. Let me ask you this. Any parting thoughts?
I just love your group. I do a Fridays with Flanagan every Friday. It's on my website, my Facebook. It's Power On.
On Power On.
Mind. Right. Come on over there. It's free to join. It's a group. You got to join it. Come on over. It's a half hour, and we just go through some basic stuff. We talk to people. Matter of fact, last night I was talking to one of my clients, and her husband is actually a Hall of Fame football coach. Okay, and Bruce, his name is Bruce Harden. He's out of North Carolina, and I've asked him to come on, hopefully in the next week or so. And he is just full of knowledge, full of knowledge. Parting shots, man. Get to know yourself. Spend more time on yourself than you do your business. I think that's important. Speak in your own voice. It's much easier. I'm learning that as I go forward with these interviews. Speak in your own voice. Let people know. People are going to like you for you and not for anybody else. That's the major part here. They're going to like you for you. Don't be anybody else.
Couldn't agree more. Does anybody have any questions for Greg before we let him jump?
I do real quick.
Yeah.
But just on that last piece, Greg, and what do you say for those people who don't like you when you're being authentic?
I say, I love you, brother. Lose
All
my
day,
number.
right? That's right.
Lose my number. I don't need to hear it.
Greg, we've said this before. 25% of people will never like you. 25% of people love you. 50% of people don't really know. Focus on the 25 that like you and the 50 that maybe could go either way.
And this comes, before we go, this comes back to your database. Deal with people that you know, that they know you, they like you, and they trust you. When you do that, you're going to make more money. Think about what one customer is worth over the lifetime, instead of spending it with idiots that just want you to, what's this worth? What's whatever, run from this house to that house to this house to this house. I hear it all the time. People bitching and complaining about their clients. Fire them. Get rid of them. Deal with people that you like and know. And the way to do that is building a relationship.
Love it. I absolutely love it. And we got a couple. Joyce said, thank you so much. Always nice to listen to such positive information, especially during such a negative time. Holy smokes, couldn't agree more. This was just wonderful. That's our amazing Sarah and Wayne. I appreciate your wisdom. Thank you for sharing. Well, we appreciate everybody being here. This is a great group. And Greg, you're a great guy, mentor, a very, very close friend. I appreciate having you in my life, and I appreciate you taking the time to share with all of us kind of your wisdom. I get it a lot. I get the opportunity to pick on that mind a whole lot, and I am truly thankful for it, and can't say it enough. So I appreciate everybody being out on here. Greg will share this stuff kind of to the masses if that's cool with you.
I'd vote for you, Greg.
Thank you guys so much. I hope this was a lot of fun for everybody.
I appreciate
as much fun as it was for me.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent.
See you guys.
Good
Rock
night,
on.
everyone.
Have a good one.
Rock on, brother.